Munu Tekisha is in Dubai apparently. She left the country after knowing that the deal she had gone to was not working, and she went through the hands that were there to torture her. She also left, and she's now in Dubai, but I know as a committee, you will go to benchmark and you will reach out to her. I can give you the number of, I don't have the number for Stella, but I have the number for Vivian Matanda. Her number is 0795 097710. And the number for Munu Tekisha, the number for Vivian Matanda is 0795 097710. The number for Munu Tekisha, who is in Dubai, you can only reach her on WhatsApp, is 0771 04 2963. That is my submission, Madam Chair, unless there is anything I need to clarify. But if further information can be got from one, there are people at that station. There is a gentleman, I think, called Ikez, and there is a Cafero. And equally, there are two ladies, I don't remember their names, but these are open people. The presenters of the program called Anicat, they are two ladies. They equally have, they can be accessed during your investigations. I would implore you to pick interest in those ladies so that you get more information from there. I would equally request pick interest in at least interviewing Honorable Miriam Matembe, because immediately when it came up, she felt as a human rights activist that was beyond. And if you realize when she was on media and TV and radio, she was really spitting fire. She was touched. She felt that was inhuman, and it was unbearable. So I would request that you pick interest in her, and maybe, but more information, Madam Chair, I know the CID headquarters could be having, because we saw them on screen one other day saying they had taken up the matter, they were investigating. And if they are genuine, maybe they will, but if they are not, as we know how Uganda operates these days, I know you may get less, if not nothing, from them the way they do their thing, because by now we would have seen some arrests. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sorry. I would like to ask about the abuse that
Group what? Group 6? Yes. So are there several people in the foundation of Bryan White who do this torture, or what happens exactly? And then you also issue the matter being reported to police and then releasing Nandaula. Does it mean that was the end of the matter? Did it go to court? What is going on?
Madam Chair, interviewing the girls, we are saying we are taken into Group 6, the statement, we are taken into Group 6 on podium. So I believe in your investigations, when you meet those girls or when you are investigating, you'll pick interest, and they will be in a position to tell you. I have information of recent. I don't know what is making it, but we are told, I think yesterday or the other day, Stella changed her statement, and I think, we don't know. But as a human rights activist, you know, she has changed the statement now. She's no longer saying she was raped, or she aborted, or she was in sex. she's saying she's a work of that place and there is no problem. But she's the same person who made the statements 2 weeks ago consecutively. But now I think either under threats or whichever formula that we don't know. But when you investigate this, you'll get this information. So we don't know. They say they are perpetrators in that home. But as I said, I could not investigate further. So I know your committee will come to know whether there are other people or it's one person who is really in charge of doing all that. The second question, Madam Chair, was what? Still investigating because they kept the girl. The girl just, because Uganet was keeping the girl, then they took her to police. She didn't stay there for long. Then police, after doing its investigation, they said, let's hand over this girl to her mother, to her parents. For us, we shall continue with the investigations. But from the time they said we hand over the girl to her mother and we continue with the investigations, we have not seen anything. No file prepared, no prosecution, no arrests, not even going in somebody's home to really find out what is inside there, you get it. But as I said, this is the same police that we all know in Uganda. There is no new police coming from UK. But as a committee, I know you will, when you interface with the CID boss in Kibalya, they will be in a position to tell you how far they have gone, since I request that they become part of your area of investigation.
Thank you. Thank you, Kibalya, for speaking.
Human rights abuses. And others emanate from security operatives, domestic violence, etc. But I don't know, Madam Chair, of course, we are grateful to Honorable Kibalya for having brought this matter to the floor of Parliament. And indeed, the uncut program NBS is by many Ugandans. But my question, before we go into the nitty-gritties, about the principal complainant seems to have lost interest in the matter. And according to him or to her, now his statement is quite different from what was presented on the floor of Parliament for our investigation. And is this principal complainant that everything is okay, I'm still working there, and nothing has ever happened to me. So I don't know how we are going to be guided, because the committee was instructed to investigate after our colleague had presented this issue on the floor of Parliament. Now we are getting another statement from the same person that would have said is the complainant, and is saying no, everything is normal. So I don't know how we are going to go about this matter. And of course, when we draw up our list of those who are going to engage and interact, they will all base on the statement of the principal complainant, whom to me has lost interest and is not, he is not really interested in our help. It is okay, and nothing has ever happened to her. So, members, I want your guidance on how we are going to, because the cardinal objective of why we are here is to investigate and also help the complainant to find and get justice. Now, is the same person who has now changed her mind that everything is normal and nothing has ever happened, because group sex, abortions, and these are really very glaring cases that would have attracted the attention of everybody. But the principal complainant is saying, nothing has ever happened to me. So I think since the case went to CID, we also need to interact with them. But my major concern is the complainant changing her mind and is saying that everything is normal and nothing has ever happened to me, which nullifies why this committee was instructed to investigate. So I think we need your guidance as we try to see how best we're going to move. Maybe even Honorable Kibalya can also guide us on how best we can move.
Madam Chair, just to that girl, Stella Nandaula, recorded a statement. She came from Bryan White's home. So she has gone back and she recorded a statement and said she's there, she's a part of the family and nothing has happened to her. She's okay, she's safe. So she even said the statement that she was right, the recording was the right one and everything that was to happen was to base on that statement. Now, when her colleagues heard that, like this lady I've talked of, Tekisha, who is in Dubai, they just rushed out and abused her heavily. And he said, we know you were a crook, you are what, you remember what was happening to us, and the other time you were crying and everything was going on. Now here you are, you are a slut. Those are stories. So they are now just abusing each other. So unless, as Honorable Sewagala said, that unless we seek how you have to advance, if the investigation has to base on her now, it will be tricky.
Committee of Parliament, we cannot stop at that. Let's go and go ahead with what we ought to do. We'll develop our terms of reference. And then we go and see from there. Maybe she could have been put under duress. Maybe something else could have happened. We will also have to go and hear from the parents. If the mother has also changed the statement, then we will say maybe there is something wrong. Because the girl couldn't change her statement alone. If the mother also changes the statement, then you know there is an issue and other workers in the place. And then we also have to investigate the kind of organization. There might be more than that meets the eye, really. So I would propose we go on. Let's take this as information, as the base, and then we can proceed with this assignment. That's what I would propose. We'll get touched so far. We'll get information from police. We'll get information from whoever, and then we'll see how to move on.
This. It was registered to do what? The people who registered it, do they have any authority on it, monitoring etc. of what is supposed to do, etc.? And then go on actually from others to find out exactly what has been happening. Because you see, these few that have come out may be the very few that are affected. You could find out there are so many other people who have been affected by this organization, and we actually do not know it. So we need actually to continue and establish what this organization has been doing, how many people actually have been affected by this kind of acts and etc., whether it is actually doing what it's supposed to do as per registration, or it is doing other activities. I think we need to continue the investigations, irrespective of whether there have been changes of statements.
Yeah, by our colleague, but on a national TV, that is NBS, I think there is something going on that as a committee we need to interest ourselves in. I want to agree with my colleague, Honorable, come here and make the same statement and say nothing happened to her, plus also other people who are involved in this. But we can't just rubbish and say, okay, because she made a statement in police, our work should stop. We are very different. This is a committee of parliament. Let's continue with our work. You never know. We will be saving so many other lives out there, because this issue has now come to the attention of the country. We don't know what has been happening. And for me, I think it is funny that it takes her, I don't know how long it took her to dismiss and say, no, nothing bad has happened. And at what time did she actually come and say that, you know, I am comfortable, we are one family, you know, nothing happened to me. I'm also interested in knowing when exactly did she make this statement. And when all these discussions was going on in the country, why didn't she immediately say, no, 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 this is rubbish, I mean, nothing of this sort happened to me? I think there's a lot that we need to, you know, unearth as a committee, and that is why we are here, Madam Chairperson. And I trust that we will do a great job that we have been assigned to do. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that girl willingly recorded the video and he sent it before the information came out. What was happening to her?
Yes.
She didn't go straight to the cameras to appear. She first recorded herself and sent the information. So then it attracted people's attention. So that is how the thing was sparked off and the investigations began. 2, when she was picked by Uganet, she equally made statements there that prompted them to take her to the CID headquarters to have police take interest. So she equally recorded that information. 3, as that was running, several things were coming up. And as I said, that is how even several other different information was discovered at that time. That's how even the mother came in, and the mother at her age made all those statements that affected her daughter, how she picked interest. Then she was blocked, then she was failed, then they threatened to kill her, then they took her to prison. All that, it was during that time. Then these other colleagues also got the gas and the energy to also reveal the information and reveal the ordeal that was going on. Because originally, Vivian Mutanda was not in the limelight. She only came in later, including her parents. So she could have changed the statement yesterday, right? But the other information and her audio, her video, whatever she was saying is recorded. It's public secret. It's public information. It's not a statement that you go right, then the police says this one is destroyed, it disappeared, you can no longer retrieve any other information. The rest of the information that was happening was not for one day where she would say maybe she was under duress or under torture. It was not one day, several days, series of flowing information, one after the other, one after the other. So as a committee of parliament, you can pick interest in all those recordings, because you can ask for those recordings from the beginning to the end. The fortunate part of it is that, Madam Chair, after NBS running this program, other stations picked interest. Sparker TV picked interest, and it was also its program throughout. Then other stations, so other TV stations picked interest, and it became the only topic to be discussed every day. So information is on all media stations and with everybody after NBS running it. So you can access this information at wish and will and compare, and it will guide your statement. Because if police says this one changed the statement, and they recorded the statements 3 times, they recorded it from home, they recorded at their headquarters, they recorded at the mother's place. So if the last statement of yesterday is different from the other 3, yet they were from different people, and that girl at different times on different days, then you can compare and it will guide your findings.
Thank you for this.
One thing I know about victims of violence is that in most cases, those violating them have more power, so they can use that power over them to do anything, to make them do anything. So that we have heard she changed a statement is not something to slap on our faces and we say, now let's go back or we can't go ahead. We actually need to, it is the very reason why we need now to investigate further, because there seems to be a lot that is happening behind this Bryan White Foundation. So
that could not stop us from investigating, making our investigations. But knowing that we have heard from Honorable Kibalya, who brought it up, and the one who has also brought in the other side. So now when we are carrying out our investigations to be wider than what we maybe would have done. And basically, knowing that we are talking about Bryan White Foundation, we are going to have a lot of interest in that foundation because a lot has been said about Bryan White as a person. And now the foundation, we must get to know right from the NGO who registered it, what it's supposed to do. And in any case, we may even go public to invite all Ugandans who have been victims, because maybe there are other Ugandans who have been victims of Bryan White Foundation, in as far as, because we have seen many organizations pretending that they are assisting girls or Ugandans, and yet they are exploiting them. So I think our scope of investigation will be a little bit wider to get to know the nitty-gritties of this White Bryan Foundation, and even the people they have talked about. When we go into our terms of reference, we will list those whom we will have to interface, like Uganet, blah, 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 and also get to know more about what really is happening. Not of Nandaula, but even others, because they have said others have started abusing Nandaula, you betrayal, you did ABCD, so there must be others, voices that are silent. But if they get to know that the committee is now investigating Bryan White Foundation and activities, then we may even get more information about it.
Possibly we need to assemble, before we can go to the field, we need to assemble the entire evidences, especially the video clips, and study them in their sequences and how statements begin to change, because the perpetrators are out there struggling to kill all this information. And I believe this should be also one of the milestones through which the committee should demand government of Uganda. I think it will be in our recommendation. You know, the Victims Bill has been lying with Ministry of Justice for over 10 years. I mean, Uganda Law Reform Commission. When are we having the Victims Protection Bill brought before Parliament? Because that is what guarantees any victim to speak out their mind, because there are protection. It is out there with the Uganda Law Reform Commission. So I think as we pursue this as one of those cases, we as Committee of Parliament must demand this law to be passed. It is very urgent, and that is why the victims are now changing out of fear. Even in the North, where we have worked a lot with victims, they will not come out clearly, like male victims of rape. They will not come out because they fear if they state something, some problems will come. The issue of Noya of last week, you have heard how it's changed all of a sudden, just because we do not have a framework to protect this. And this is the committee that should be spearheading this process. And I believe with this one case, we should be in position to open the biggest Pandora box in terms of defending the rights of victims in this country. Madam Chair.
A previous day program that was running on one of the media stations, that media station is NBS, and they have a program called Anicat. That program normally runs between 7:45 to 8:30 there, evening, PM, that is PM. So I was watching, And as a parent, as a Ugandan, as a human rights activist, as a leader above all, I got concerned when I watched and listened to what was going on. The girl called Stella Nandaula was crying. She seemed helpless because she made a statement that I feel like committing suicide. She said, I was brought here and I had been promised many things with my other colleagues. But eventually what came out is that we are here suffering. They turn us into sex machines. She mentioned that she had aborted 3 times. And she also said when her parents tried to raise the alarm and the concern, they imprisoned her parents. So she said she was under some hands that could not free her, and she was fearing for her life. She narrated very many things. So later, I picked interest, as I said, as a leader, and tried to, on my own, to find out more information that was related. So, Chair, what I found out was, one, these girls, because there are 3 girls that I will bring to light. These girls were brokered by a gentleman called Chiravira Eddie. He's fond of brokering for big people. And the agreement on brokering that deal is that when he takes you there, one, you are originally recruited as an usher to do some work for Bryan White Foundation. They take them in the disguise of working for Bryan White Foundation. So they tell them, when you come, you will earn 1 million. But the middle person, the broker, enters an understanding with you who is going to get the job, that half of the money is mine. Now the question is whether the job is going to last for 1 day, or 1 week, or 1 month, or it's like a piece rate that after doing the work you go. But the conviction is that when you go, you are given 1 million after that work. When they reached there, they had been promised that for them to stay in the area, that they will earn 3 million shillings per month. So when it comes to earning 3 million shillings per month, somebody gets convinced and he has to stay. So it so happened that after some time, I think when the abuse had gone on for long, some of those girls had to come out. These girls in mentioning are Stella Nandaula, there is Vivian Motanda, and there is Monu Tekisha. Those girls are, what was happening, the information we have is that during daytime they could be ushers. Then at night they abused sexually. There was a practice they call group sex. It's what you could go on. In your committee, as you continue to investigate and go on, you'll find more information about what goes on. So when that matter came in, the mother picked interest. And when you go on with your investigations, you'll get a recording where the mother was also giving her scenario and her side of the story and the experience she had. I could not access those recordings because the young man called Kafero, who runs the program, switched off his phones, and I could not get those recordings, but they are there. So eventually a group, an NGO, which was called, I think, Uganet, in company of Honorable Miriam Matembe, picked interest. And one, went to rescue the girl. They picked the girl from Mr. Bryan Chirumira's home. The interesting part was that the public, where the public saw fun and Reddit was, they walked past whoever was at home and the owners of the home and only picked the girl and left those ones untouched, and they went with the girl. So they kept the girl for around 2 to 3 days. Then he took the girl to Kibalya, CID headquarters for interrogation. They picked some information, and eventually Kibalya headquarters handed over the girl to the mother, to the parents. We are told that the girl stays, I think, in Namungona with her parents. The family could be in Namungona. The area is called Luyinza. Those ones who know Kampala more than us who come from the village may be knowing Namungona and the area called Luyinza, but that is where the family is. So Stella, the key person who's packed off the whole thing, stays there with the family. But she claimed, she said, there was that sex abuse, there was the hard labor that was going on. She said there was torture. On the screen, she was showing some parts of her body that had been bruised, and she said those bruises were coming out of torture, and she could not say anything. She would not have the right to say anything, and she could not go away because the place was totally guarded, and she feared for her life. Then she said, as I said, that she had aborted 3 times, and she said several other colleagues of hers had equally gone through the same things. The mother to that girl, when she was appearing before the camera, subsequent days, the mother also confessed that her daughter had told her that she could do abort. They could not allow her continue with the pregnancy, and it was a risk to the life of such younger girls. And it's an issue that we must take interest in and really see how we can bring an end to some of these abuses that go on even within our country. Yet at times we could see them just outside Uganda, but now these are in Uganda here. This other girl called Vivian Mutanda, same. Vivian Mutanda on the camera showed bruises on her body, that all those bruises on the body had been impacted and brought in by the torture and harassment that she was going through under the hands of those people. She equally said she had aborted, I think, more than 3 times. She confessed the issue of abortions very many times. Vivian Mutanda stays in Munyonyo with her friends, but I know you, as a committee, you reach out to her. But she said she went through a lot. She said what she could have gone through could have even been worse off than the one of Stella Nandaula. But for her, she didn't promise to commit suicide the way Stella Nandaula said, because Stella Nandaula said she was meditating upon committing suicide because she felt that was too much for her. So then this other girl I told you of is called